How to Think Under Pressure. Master Your Mind in High-Stakes Situations. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. Pressure has a way of hijacking your mind. Your heart races, your breathing shortens, and suddenly the clarity you need most feels out of reach. In critical moments, whether in business, sports, emergency situations, or everyday life, your ability to think clearly under pressure determines success or failure. The difference between those who freeze and those who rise to the occasion is not talent or intelligence, it is mental conditioning. High performers are not immune to pressure. They have trained themselves to handle it with precision and control. Your brain reacts to stress in predictable ways. When stakes are high, the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for processing fear, triggers the fight or flight response. This is useful in life-threatening situations but counterproductive when you need to make a quick decision, give a speech, or handle a crisis. The key to mastering pressure is learning to override this instinct and keep your thinking sharp when it matters most. With the right strategies, you can train your mind to function at peak performance under stress rather than be overwhelmed by it. This book is designed to give you a framework for thinking clearly when stakes are high. You will learn how to control your physiology, shift your mindset, simplify decision-making, and train under simulated pressure. These are not abstract theories, they are practical, proven techniques used by elite athletes, military personnel, emergency responders, and top executives. When applied consistently, they will transform the way you handle stress, turning pressure from a threat into a tool for high performance. Thinking under pressure is not about eliminating stress, it is about harnessing it. By training yourself to stay composed, regulate emotions, and execute with confidence, you develop the ability to thrive in high-stakes situations. Every moment of pressure is an opportunity to build resilience, strengthen focus, and sharpen decision-making skills. The ability to remain clear-headed under stress is not reserved for the elite. It is a skill anyone can develop. The question is, will you train your mind to rise to the occasion, or will you let pressure control you? Chapter 1. The Science of Pressure and Performance. Pressure is not just a feeling, it is a biological and psychological response that can either sharpen your mind or completely derail it. When the stakes are high, your brain shifts into survival mode, flooding your system with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart races, your breathing becomes shallow, and your muscles tense. This is your body's way of preparing for action, but if left unchecked, it can lead to mental fog, poor decision-making, and even panic. The key to thinking clearly under pressure is understanding how this response works and how to control it. The brain's reaction to stress is governed by the amygdala, the part responsible for processing fear and triggering fight or flight responses. While this mechanism is useful in life or death situations, it can be counterproductive in everyday high-stakes moments, such as giving a speech, negotiating a deal, or making a split-second decision at work. When overwhelmed, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logical thinking and problem-solving, gets suppressed, making it harder to focus and make rational choices. This is why some people freeze or make impulsive decisions under pressure. Elite performers, whether in sports, business, or emergency response, train themselves to override this natural reaction. Instead of letting pressure dictate their actions, they condition their minds to stay composed and execute with precision. One of the most effective ways to do this is by training your autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system has two primary states, the sympathetic fight or flight, and the parasympathetic rest and digest. Under extreme stress, the sympathetic system takes over, creating a tunnel vision effect that limits cognitive flexibility. The goal is to activate the parasympathetic response quickly, allowing the mind to regain control. Breathing is one of the fastest ways to do this. Techniques such as the physiological sigh, taking 2 quick inhales through the nose followed by a slow exhale, have been scientifically proven to reduce heart rate and restore focus almost instantly. This simple yet powerful technique is used by Navy SEALs, elite athletes, and crisis responders to maintain clarity in the most intense situations. Controlled breathing signals to the brain that the threat is manageable, shifting it out of panic mode and back into rational thinking. Reframing pressure is another crucial skill. The brain interprets high-stakes situations as either a threat or a challenge. When perceived as a threat, stress hormones spike, cognitive function declines, and self-doubt takes over. But when seen as a challenge, stress transforms into a source of energy and heightened focus. Research has shown that simply reinterpreting nerves as excitement improves performance under pressure. Athletes, surgeons, and public speakers all use this technique, telling themselves that their rapid heartbeat is not fear but readiness. The ability to perform well under pressure is not about eliminating stress but learning to harness it. Those who thrive in high-stakes environments do not wait until pressure arrives to prepare, they train for it in advance. Simulation training, exposure to controlled stress, and practicing high-speed decision-making in safe environments help the brain adapt. The more familiar pressure becomes, the less overwhelming it feels. This is why pilots train in flight simulators, soldiers undergo combat drills, and surgeons practice in high-pressure scenarios before ever stepping into real operations. Understanding the science behind pressure allows you to take control of your response. Instead of being a victim of stress, you can become the type of person who remains calm, focused, and effective no matter the situation. Thinking under pressure is not about talent or intelligence, it is about conditioning. By learning to manage your body's response, reframing pressure as an opportunity, and training for high-stakes moments before they happen, you can ensure that when the moment arrives you will perform at your best. Chapter 2. The Power of Breath Control. Your breath is the fastest way to take control of your mind under pressure. When stress hits, your breathing becomes shallow and erratic, sending signals to your brain that something is wrong. This triggers a cascade of physiological responses that increase your heart rate, tighten your muscles, and narrow your focus to a fight or flight state. If left unchecked, this reaction can hijack your ability to think clearly, make decisions, and perform at your best. The key to regaining control is learning how to breathe deliberately, overriding the body's default stress response. One of the most effective techniques is the physiological sigh. This involves taking 2 quick inhales through the nose, followed by a long exhale through the mouth. Research has shown that this technique rapidly reduces heart rate, calms the nervous system, and restores cognitive function. It works by increasing oxygen intake and maximizing carbon dioxide release, resetting the body's stress levels in seconds. Elite performers, from special forces operatives to professional athletes, use this technique to stay composed in high-pressure situations. By practicing it regularly, you can train yourself to shift out of panic mode instantly when stakes are high. Another proven method is box breathing, a technique widely used by military personnel and first responders. The process is simple: inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold again for 4 seconds before repeating the cycle. This structured breathing pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling to the brain that it is safe to relax. By maintaining this rhythm, you prevent the physiological chaos that pressure creates, keeping your mind steady and sharp. Tactical breathing is another essential tool for managing pressure. This technique involves taking deep, controlled breaths, focusing on the expansion of the diaphragm rather than shallow chest breathing. The key is to slow down your breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips. This simple adjustment increases oxygen flow to the brain, enhancing concentration, problem-solving, and decision-making in high-stress moments. Studies have shown that tactical breathing lowers cortisol levels, reducing the negative effects of stress and improving overall resilience. The science behind breath control is clear. When you consciously regulate your breathing, you directly influence your heart rate, blood pressure, and mental clarity. The reason breath is so powerful is that it serves as a direct bridge between the autonomic nervous system and conscious control. Unlike other bodily functions that operate automatically, such as digestion or heartbeat, breathing is unique because it can be both involuntary and intentional. This makes it one of the only ways to take immediate control over stress responses in real time. The challenge is remembering to use these techniques when it matters most. Under pressure, it is easy to forget to breathe properly, letting stress take over. The key to making breath control instinctive is repetition. Practicing these techniques during calm moments builds muscle memory, making them second nature when you need them. Many professionals integrate breathing exercises into their daily routine, using them before meetings, performances, or competitions. The more you train your breath, the more reliable it becomes as a tool for staying in control. Breath control is not just about reducing stress, it is about optimizing performance. When your breathing is steady, your mind is clear, and your body is primed for action. Whether you are facing a difficult conversation, a high-stakes presentation, or a physically demanding challenge, your breath can be the difference between freezing and executing with precision. The ability to regulate your breath under pressure is a skill that separates those who thrive from those who crumble. Mastering breath control requires discipline, but the benefits are undeniable. By integrating the physiological sigh, box breathing, and tactical breathing into your routine, you equip yourself with tools to stay composed in any situation. Pressure is unavoidable, but your response to it is within your control. When chaos surrounds you, your breath remains your anchor. Train it, trust it, and use it to command your mind when it matters most. Chapter 3. Reframing pressure into an opportunity. Pressure is inevitable, but how you perceive it determines whether it fuels your performance or cripples your ability to think clearly. Your brain interprets high-stakes situations as either a threat or a challenge, and that interpretation dictates your physiological and psychological response. When you view pressure as a threat, stress hormones spike, your body tightens, and your focus narrows to survival mode. This reaction is useful in life or death situations but detrimental in moments that require composure, creativity, and strategic thinking. The good news is that you can train your mind to reframe pressure, turning it into an advantage instead of a liability. Research has shown that the simple act of reframing anxiety as excitement improves performance under pressure. When you tell yourself, "I'm excited," rather than "I'm nervous," your body's stress response remains the same, but your brain interprets it differently. Instead of associating the increased heart rate and adrenaline rush with fear, you link it to heightened readiness. This shift helps prevent the cognitive shutdown that often accompanies stress and instead primes you for optimal performance. Athletes, public speakers, and top executives use this technique to stay sharp when it matters most. Your inner dialogue plays a crucial role in how you handle pressure. If your self-talk is filled with doubt and fear, your brain reinforces the belief that you are in danger. Negative thoughts like "I can't mess this up" or "I'm not ready" create unnecessary tension, making mistakes more likely. Instead, shift your focus to statements that reinforce confidence and control, such as "This is my moment" or "I've trained for this." The words you tell yourself shape your reality, and by consciously directing your thoughts, you can take control of how you experience high-pressure moments. Elite performers do not ignore stress, they use it as fuel. Studies on stress resilience reveal that individuals who see pressure as an opportunity for growth perform significantly better than those who try to avoid it. This mindset is not about denying the intensity of the situation but rather embracing it as a proving ground. When you welcome pressure as a chance to sharpen your skills, you strip it of its power to paralyze you. The highest achievers understand that discomfort is a sign of growth, not failure. Training yourself to reframe pressure requires deliberate practice. One effective method is visualization. Instead of dreading a high-stakes event, picture yourself handling it with confidence. Imagine yourself staying composed, executing effectively, and overcoming any obstacles. Your brain responds to mental imagery almost as if it were a real experience, reinforcing neural pathways that prepare you for success. This technique is used by Olympic athletes, military personnel, and top professionals to build resilience before facing challenges. Another strategy is exposure therapy. The more you place yourself in controlled high-pressure situations, the more comfortable you become handling them. This is why elite training programs simulate stress through drills, time constraints, and real-world scenarios. If you practice operating under pressure, you desensitize yourself to its effects, making it easier to stay calm when stakes are high. Whether through public speaking, competitive environments, or decision-making under tight deadlines, repeatedly exposing yourself to manageable stress builds confidence and adaptability. Your brain is designed to adapt, and how you respond to pressure is largely a matter of conditioning. By consistently reframing pressure as an opportunity, you can train yourself to thrive in high-stakes situations. Every moment of stress is a chance to build resilience, develop mental toughness, and strengthen your ability to think clearly under fire. The key is to shift your perspective, use positive self-talk, and embrace the challenge instead of fearing it. Those who succeed under pressure are not immune to stress, they have simply learned to use it to their advantage. Chapter 4. The mental checklist for clarity under fire. When pressure hits, your mind can either sharpen or scatter. The difference lies in how you process information and make decisions. Under stress, the brain's instinct is to react impulsively, either freezing, overanalyzing, or rushing into action without thinking. These responses can be costly in high-stakes situations, leading to errors that could have been avoided. The solution is a mental checklist, a structured approach to thinking under pressure that keeps your mind clear, your actions deliberate, and your decisions sound. By following a simple 3-step process, pause, prioritize, proceed, you create a framework that prevents panic and promotes clarity. The first step is to pause. This may seem counterintuitive when urgency is high, but taking a moment to breathe and reset prevents automatic reactions that often lead to mistakes. A well-timed pause allows you to regain control, slow down your racing thoughts, and avoid being swept away by stress. This is why elite professionals train themselves to take a breath before responding to unexpected challenges. A single deep breath, or the physiological sigh, can reset your nervous system, lower your heart rate, and create the mental space needed to think rationally instead of emotionally. Once you have paused, the next step is to prioritize. Under pressure, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the sheer number of tasks or variables competing for attention. Instead of trying to tackle everything at once, focus on identifying the single most important action that will move the situation forward. This requires asking a simple but powerful question: what matters most right now? High performers are not necessarily better at handling stress, they are better at narrowing their focus to what is essential in the moment. Whether it is executing a key maneuver, making a critical decision, or communicating clearly, isolating the top priority prevents cognitive overload and ensures efficiency. The final step is to proceed with execution. Overthinking can be just as damaging as acting impulsively. Once a priority is identified, the key is to commit to action without hesitation. This does not mean moving recklessly but rather trusting the decision-making process and following through with confidence. One of the biggest reasons people struggle under pressure is the fear of making the wrong choice. However, hesitation often leads to worse outcomes than calculated action. The brain functions best when decisions are made decisively, allowing momentum to build instead of being lost in indecision. This 3-step process, pause, prioritize, proceed, is a mental shortcut that prevents stress from hijacking your ability to think. It simplifies decision-making, keeps emotions in check, and ensures that every action is intentional rather than reactive. By training yourself to follow this method in low-stakes situations, it becomes second nature when pressure is high. Pilots, emergency responders, and top executives all use structured thinking models to maintain clarity in crisis scenarios. Their ability to stay composed is not an accident but the result of mental conditioning and habit formation. A mental checklist is more than just a tool for emergency situations, it is a method for handling any form of pressure in daily life. Whether facing a difficult conversation, making a quick decision in business, or dealing with unexpected challenges, this structured approach prevents overwhelm and enhances performance. The key is consistency. Just as athletes train their bodies for peak performance, training your mind to operate under pressure requires repetition and practice. Thinking clearly in high-stakes moments is not about shutting down emotions, but about channeling them effectively. Pressure does not have to be a source of panic, it can be a trigger for focus and efficiency. The more you train yourself to pause, identify priorities, and take decisive action, the more natural it becomes. Mastering this process ensures that when stress levels rise, you do not react blindly but instead operate with precision and control. Chapter 5. The Language of Confidence, Self-Coaching Under Stress. The words you say to yourself in high-pressure situations determine whether you rise to the occasion or collapse under stress. Your inner dialogue is not just background noise, it shapes your thoughts, emotions, and ultimately your performance. When pressure builds, negative self-talk can creep in, filling your mind with doubt, hesitation, and fear. This internal narrative becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, making failure more likely. The solution is to take control of your mental dialogue and speak to yourself in a way that reinforces confidence, composure, and clarity. Self-coaching is a skill that top performers use to stay in control when the stakes are high. One of the most effective techniques is third-person self-talk. Instead of saying, "I'm nervous," shift to, "You've done this before, stay focused." Research shows that referring to yourself by name or using second-person language creates psychological distance, reducing emotional intensity and increasing objectivity. This technique allows you to see the situation from a detached perspective, similar to how a coach would guide an athlete. When emotions threaten to take over, stepping outside of yourself with structured self-talk keeps your thinking clear and rational. Another powerful approach is using directive statements. Instead of vague reassurance like, "I hope I do well," shift to concrete instructions like, "Keep your posture strong, control your breathing, and stay composed." The brain responds better to specific commands than to generalized encouragement. Elite athletes, military personnel, and high-level performers use this method to keep their focus sharp under pressure. When your mind is given clear and actionable directives, it is more likely to follow through with precision. Replacing negative thoughts with performance-based cues is also critical. The mind tends to gravitate toward worst-case scenarios in stressful moments, leading to paralysis or rushed decisions. If your self-talk centers on what could go wrong, your focus shifts toward failure rather than execution. Instead of thinking, "What if I mess up?" shift to, "Focus on the next step." The key is to direct your attention toward what you can control rather than what you fear. This prevents anxiety from spiraling and keeps your energy on productive action. Self-coaching also involves using past successes as proof of capability. When doubt arises, remind yourself of moments when you handled similar challenges effectively. Phrases like "You've succeeded under pressure before, you can do it again" reinforce a mindset of resilience. The brain responds to evidence, and recalling previous wins strengthens the belief that you are capable of performing well. This technique is used by professionals who face intense scrutiny, from public speakers to surgeons, to remind themselves that they are prepared and competent. The tone of your inner dialogue matters just as much as the words themselves. Harsh self-criticism does not improve performance, it increases stress and self-doubt. Speaking to yourself with the same encouragement and patience you would offer a friend or teammate is far more effective. Confidence is not about arrogance but about maintaining belief in your ability to execute, even when uncertainty is present. By cultivating a supportive inner dialogue, you train your brain to default to resilience instead of panic. Like any skill, effective self-talk requires practice. The best way to reinforce this habit is to use it in low-pressure situations so that it becomes instinctive when stakes are high. Start by catching negative thoughts as they arise and deliberately reframing them into constructive statements. Over time, this process will become automatic, and your inner voice will shift from one of doubt to one of guidance and control. Self-coaching is the difference between being controlled by pressure and mastering it. The way you speak to yourself in crucial moments dictates how you perform. By using third-person self-talk, giving clear instructions, replacing negative thoughts, and reinforcing past success, you create a mental framework that keeps you steady under pressure. Pressure will always be there, but with the right inner dialogue, you will be ready to face it with confidence and clarity. Chapter 6. Training under simulated pressure. The best way to master thinking under pressure is to train for it before it happens. Stressful situations often feel overwhelming because they catch you off guard, leaving your mind scrambling to respond. But those who consistently perform well under pressure, athletes, emergency responders, military personnel, and high-level executives, have one thing in common: they simulate high-stress conditions in their training, so that when real pressure arrives, it feels familiar. By deliberately exposing yourself to controlled stress, you build resilience, sharpen decision-making, and strengthen your ability to stay composed when it matters most. Stress inoculation is a training method used by professionals who operate in high-stakes environments. The concept is simple: expose yourself to increasing levels of pressure in a controlled setting until your mind and body adapt. This is why firefighters train in burning buildings, pilots practice emergency landings in flight simulators, and surgeons perform mock procedures before operating on real patients. The goal is to develop familiarity with stress, so that when the real moment arrives you can function at peak performance instead of reacting with panic or hesitation. A powerful way to simulate pressure is through time constraints. Making decisions under a ticking clock forces your brain to process information quickly while maintaining clarity. Practicing rapid decision-making in low-risk scenarios, such as solving problems within a time limit or engaging in high-speed strategy games, strengthens your ability to think quickly under real pressure. This method rewires your brain to stay sharp and focused instead of overwhelmed when urgency is high. Physical discomfort is another effective training tool. Cold exposure, endurance challenges, And fatigue-based exercises teach you to think clearly even when your body is under stress. This is why elite military units incorporate physical exhaustion into their training. It forces recruits to make decisions while their bodies are screaming for relief. Learning to manage discomfort while maintaining cognitive control is a crucial skill for high-pressure situations. When you expose yourself to controlled discomfort regularly, real-world stress feels less overwhelming, and you develop confidence in your ability to perform under any condition. Public exposure is another effective way to simulate pressure. Speaking in front of an audience, engaging in debates, or performing under observation triggers a stress response similar to high-stakes situations. By intentionally putting yourself in these environments, you train your mind to handle scrutiny without freezing or second-guessing. Over time, the fear of being judged or making mistakes diminishes, allowing you to focus on execution rather than anxiety. The more you expose yourself to public pressure, the more natural it becomes to stay composed in critical moments. One of the most overlooked aspects of pressure training is mental rehearsal. Visualization techniques, where you vividly imagine yourself handling pressure with confidence, create neurological patterns that prepare your brain for real scenarios. Olympic athletes, top executives, and emergency responders use mental imagery to simulate stressful events in their minds before facing them in reality. This practice helps desensitize the brain to high-pressure situations, making them feel more manageable when they actually occur. Repetition is the key to making pressure training effective. Just as physical muscles grow through consistent resistance training, mental resilience is built through repeated exposure to stress in controlled settings. The goal is to rewire your response so that pressure triggers focus and composure instead of panic. By training under simulated stress regularly, you ensure that high-pressure moments feel like just another day of practice, rather than an overwhelming challenge. Mastering pressure is not about eliminating stress. It is about conditioning yourself to function at a high level despite it. The more you expose yourself to controlled stress through time constraints, physical discomfort, public challenges, and mental rehearsal, the stronger your ability to think clearly under pressure becomes. With enough training, what once felt overwhelming will become routine, and you will perform with confidence no matter the stakes. Chapter 7. The role of visualization and mental rehearsal. Your mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. This is why athletes, military personnel, and top performers use visualization to prepare for high-pressure moments. By mentally rehearsing a scenario before it happens, you train your brain to respond with confidence and precision rather than hesitation and fear. Visualization is not wishful thinking, it is a science-backed method of conditioning your mind to execute under stress with clarity and control. Studies show that when you imagine yourself performing a task successfully, the same neural pathways activate as if you were physically doing it. This means that practicing mentally can be almost as effective as practicing physically. Athletes who visualize their routines before competing show improved reaction times, better focus, and increased confidence. The same principle applies to any high-stakes situation, whether it is a business negotiation, a speech, or an emergency decision. The key to effective visualization is detail. The more vivid your mental rehearsal, the more powerful its impact. Instead of simply picturing success in a general sense, engage all your senses. See the environment, hear the sounds, feel the textures, and experience the emotions tied to the moment. If you are preparing for a presentation, imagine the lights, the faces of the audience, the sound of your voice, and even the feeling of calmness in your body. The brain processes this as a real experience, strengthening neural pathways associated with confidence and execution. Another crucial element is scenario planning. Instead of only visualizing a perfect outcome, prepare for potential obstacles. Imagine challenges arising, technical difficulties, unexpected questions, or a moment of forgetfulness, and then mentally rehearse how you will handle them. This builds cognitive flexibility, ensuring that if things go off track, you remain composed and adaptable. Professionals who anticipate adversity in their visualization sessions are better equipped to handle setbacks in real life without panic. Mental rehearsal also works for developing physical control under pressure. By visualizing controlled breathing, steady movements, and deliberate actions, you train your body to respond automatically in high-stakes moments. This is why Special Forces operatives visualize their missions step by step before executing them. When the moment arrives, their actions feel familiar, reducing hesitation and increasing precision. The same approach applies to anyone who wants to enhance their performance in demanding situations. Consistency is the key to making visualization a reliable tool. It is not a one-time exercise but a daily habit. The best performers dedicate time every day to mentally rehearsing their most critical tasks. Even a few minutes of structured visualization before a high-pressure event can significantly improve confidence and execution. By repeatedly seeing yourself succeed, you condition your mind to accept that success as the default outcome. Self-talk plays a critical role in visualization. Combining mental imagery with affirmations reinforces confidence. Instead of just picturing success, pair it with phrases like, "I am prepared," or "I handle pressure with clarity." This strengthens the mental rehearsal by reinforcing belief in your abilities. Your subconscious mind absorbs these affirmations, making them more automatic when you face real-world stress. Mental rehearsal is one of the most underutilized tools for performing under pressure. Those who use it consistently experience reduced anxiety, improved decision-making, and increased confidence in high-stakes moments. The brain thrives on familiarity, and visualization creates that familiarity before an event even happens. The more you train your mind to see yourself succeeding, the more likely you are to perform with clarity and precision when it matters most. By mastering the art of mental rehearsal, you ensure that pressure does not control you, you control the pressure. Chapter 8. Developing situational awareness. Thinking under pressure is not just about controlling your mind, it is also about accurately assessing your environment. Situational awareness is the ability to perceive what is happening around you, process that information quickly, and predict what will happen next. This skill is essential in high-stakes environments where a split-second decision can determine success or failure. Whether in sports, business, emergency response, or daily life, mastering situational awareness ensures that you remain calm, focused, and in control under pressure. The key to developing situational awareness is training your brain to observe without becoming overwhelmed. Most people either focus too much on minor details or become so fixated on one element that they miss the bigger picture. Effective situational awareness requires a balance of both, taking in relevant details while maintaining a broad understanding of the environment. This skill is what allows top athletes to anticipate their opponent's next move or military personnel to react instantly to a shifting battlefield. One proven method to enhance situational awareness is the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. This framework, originally developed for fighter pilots, helps process information under extreme stress. The first step is to observe, scan the environment, and take in key details. Next, orient, filter out distractions and focus on what truly matters. Then, decide, based on the most critical information, choose the best course of action. Finally, act, execute the decision with confidence and precision. This cycle repeats continuously, keeping the mind engaged and adaptable. One of the biggest challenges in maintaining situational awareness under pressure is avoiding tunnel vision. Stress naturally causes the brain to narrow its focus, sometimes leading to critical blind spots. To counteract this, train yourself to periodically expand your awareness. Take a mental step back and ask, "What am I missing?" This technique is used by emergency responders and special forces operators to ensure that they are not overlooking crucial details in chaotic situations. Practicing this habit in everyday situations such as driving, meetings, or social interactions improves overall awareness. Mental flexibility is another crucial aspect of situational awareness. The ability to quickly shift perspectives and adapt to new information prevents cognitive rigidity. People who struggle under pressure often become fixated on a single course of action, ignoring new data that suggests a better approach. To prevent this, practice thinking in alternatives. Ask yourself, what are 3 other ways to handle this situation? This habit keeps your mind open and adaptable, reducing the likelihood of freezing or making impulsive decisions. Your physical state also affects situational awareness. Fatigue, dehydration, and poor posture can impair cognitive processing, making it harder to assess situations accurately. This is why high-performance professionals prioritize physical readiness alongside mental preparation. Maintaining steady breathing, staying hydrated, and keeping a relaxed but alert posture improves your ability to take in and process information effectively under stress. Another powerful way to train situational awareness is through pattern recognition. The more familiar you become with specific environments, behaviors, or scenarios, the faster you can detect changes or anomalies. This is why experienced professionals can spot potential problems before they escalate. By regularly analyzing patterns in your work, social interactions, or physical surroundings, you sharpen your ability to anticipate and react proactively rather than reactively. Mastering situational awareness is not about predicting the future, it is about being so attuned to your surroundings that surprises become less overwhelming. The more you train yourself to observe, orient, decide, and act, the more instinctive the process becomes. When pressure rises, your ability to assess the situation accurately determines whether you stay in control or get swept up in chaos. Those who develop this skill do not just react to the world around them, they anticipate, adapt, and thrive under pressure. Chapter 9. Decision-making under pressure. High-pressure situations demand quick and effective decision-making, yet stress can cause hesitation, impulsive choices, or complete mental shutdown. The ability to make sound decisions under pressure is not an innate talent, it is a skill that can be trained. When faced with time-sensitive challenges, the key is to simplify choices, eliminate unnecessary distractions, and commit to action with confidence. Those who excel under pressure are not immune to stress, they have learned how to manage it so that it enhances rather than hinders their decision-making process. One of the biggest obstacles to making decisions under pressure is analysis paralysis. When too many variables compete for attention, the brain struggles to process them all efficiently, leading to hesitation and inaction. The solution is to narrow focus to the most relevant factors. One effective technique is the rule of 3. Instead of considering every possible option, limit yourself to 3 clear choices. This reduces cognitive overload and forces you to prioritize the most actionable solutions. When faced with uncertainty, simplifying the decision-making process increases clarity and speeds up execution. Another major challenge is emotional interference. Fear, anxiety, or frustration can cloud judgment, making decisions reactive rather than strategic. One way to counteract this is third-person thinking, mentally stepping outside yourself and analyzing the situation as if advising someone else. Research shows that this technique creates psychological distance, allowing for more objective and logical decision-making. By removing personal bias and focusing on the facts, you increase your ability to make clear, rational choices even in high-pressure moments. Speed and accuracy must be balanced when making decisions under stress. While fast thinking is necessary in urgent situations, reckless decisions often lead to preventable mistakes. The pre-mortem technique is a powerful way to mitigate risk. Before committing to an action, ask, if this decision were to fail, what would be the most likely reason? This forces you to consider potential weaknesses, adjust your approach, and make more informed choices while still maintaining speed. Elite performers in sports, business, and emergency response use this method to sharpen their thinking and reduce costly errors. Training for high-pressure decision-making requires exposure to controlled stress. Practicing with time constraints, decision drills, or competitive environments strengthens mental agility. Simulating high-stakes situations before they occur makes them feel more familiar when they arise in real life. This is why pilots train in flight simulators, athletes practice game-winning scenarios, and military teams rehearse missions repeatedly. The more you expose yourself to decision-making under stress, the better prepared your mind becomes to handle real-world pressure. Another essential strategy is commitment to action. Many poor decisions stem not from making the wrong choice but from failing to make any choice at all. Indecision under pressure increases stress and allows problems to escalate. Once a decision is made, commit to it fully. Overthinking past the point of necessary analysis wastes valuable time and energy. Trusting your ability to adapt if needed is more effective than waiting for absolute certainty, which rarely exists in high-stakes environments. Resilience in decision-making comes from experience. Each decision, whether successful or not, provides valuable feedback for future choices. Learning from past high-pressure moments allows you to refine your approach and build confidence in your ability to make quick, effective decisions. The best decision-makers are not those who never make mistakes but those who learn from them and continually improve. Mastering decision-making under pressure is about training your mind to simplify choices, regulate emotions, balance speed with accuracy, and commit to action without hesitation. Pressure does not need to be an obstacle to good decision-making, It can be the force that sharpens your ability to think clearly and act decisively. By practicing these techniques, you ensure that when high-stakes situations arise, you are ready to respond with clarity, confidence, and control. Chapter 10. Emotional Regulation in Critical Moments. Pressure does not just challenge your ability to think, it challenges your ability to manage emotions. When the stakes are high, fear, frustration, and anxiety can override logic, leading to impulsive decisions or complete shutdown. The ability to regulate emotions under stress is what separates those who thrive under pressure from those who crumble. Emotional control is not about suppressing feelings, it is about directing them in a way that enhances, rather than interferes with, performance. The first step in emotional regulation is awareness. Many people only recognize emotions after they have already taken over. The key is to detect emotional shifts early before they gain momentum. This requires developing the habit of checking in with yourself under stress. Ask, what am I feeling right now? And how is this affecting my thinking? Recognizing emotional responses in real time gives you a window of opportunity to intervene before they escalate. One of the fastest ways to regulate emotions is breath control. Shallow, rapid breathing fuels anxiety, while deep, controlled breathing signals to the brain that you are in control. The physiological sigh, 2 quick inhales through the nose followed by a long exhale, has been shown to reduce stress almost instantly. This technique slows the heart rate, lowers cortisol levels, and restores focus. Using this method in high-pressure moments prevents emotions from spiraling out of control. Another powerful tool is cognitive reframing. The way you interpret stress determines its impact. If you see pressure as a threat, fear dominates your response. But if you view it as a challenge, stress transforms into a source of energy. This shift in perspective changes the brain's reaction to pressure. Instead of thinking, "this is overwhelming," reframe it as, "this is an opportunity to perform at my best." The more you practice reframing stress, the more natural it becomes to harness it rather than fear it. Self-talk plays a critical role in emotional regulation. When pressure is high, your inner dialogue can either build confidence or amplify doubt. Using third-person self-talk helps maintain composure. Instead of saying, "I'm struggling," shift to, "You've handled this before, stay focused." Research shows that this technique creates psychological distance from emotions, allowing for more rational thinking. Speaking to yourself as a coach rather than a critic reinforces control and prevents negative emotions from dictating your actions. Physical state also influences emotional control. Tension in the body mirrors tension in the mind. Releasing physical stress, through unclenching the jaw, relaxing the shoulders, or adjusting posture, sends a signal to the brain that there is no immediate danger. Small physical adjustments can create a significant shift in emotional state, improving clarity and confidence in high-pressure moments. Training emotional regulation requires exposure to controlled stress. Practicing composure in minor stressful situations strengthens resilience for major ones. Cold showers, high-intensity workouts, or public speaking exercises are simple ways to develop emotional discipline. The more you expose yourself to manageable stress, the less reactive you become to unexpected pressure. This is why elite performers seek discomfort. It builds the mental endurance needed for high-stakes moments. Reflection after stressful events is essential for improving emotional control. Instead of dwelling on mistakes, analyze your response. Ask, "How did I handle my emotions? And what will I do differently next time?" This process reinforces learning and makes emotional regulation more instinctive over time. The best performers are not immune to pressure, they have trained themselves to use it rather than be controlled by it. Mastering emotional regulation means responding rather than reacting. Awareness, breath control, reframing, and self-talk are tools that ensure emotions serve you rather than sabotage you. When pressure rises, these techniques allow you to stay clear, composed, and in control. By training yourself to regulate emotions effectively, you ensure that no matter the intensity of the situation, you remain the master of your mind. Chapter 11. The Art of Recovery, Avoiding Mental Fatigue. Performing under pressure is not just about handling stress in the moment, it is also about recovering effectively afterward. Mental fatigue accumulates over time, and without proper recovery, decision-making, focus, and emotional control deteriorate. High performers understand that resilience is not just about pushing through stress but also about knowing how to reset the mind and body. Recovery is not a luxury, it is a necessity for sustaining peak performance under pressure. One of the most critical aspects of mental recovery is managing cognitive load. Every high-stakes decision, intense conversation, or pressure-filled moment drains mental resources. Without replenishment, cognitive fatigue sets in, leading to slower thinking, increased emotional reactivity, and impaired judgment. To prevent burnout, it is essential to schedule deliberate mental breaks. Short pauses throughout the day, even just a few minutes of stepping away from a task, allow the brain to reset and maintain clarity. Sleep is the foundation of cognitive recovery. Under pressure, many people sacrifice sleep to get more done, but this is a mistake. Research shows that even mild sleep deprivation significantly reduces problem-solving ability, reaction time, and emotional control. Prioritizing deep, uninterrupted sleep is one of the most effective ways to restore mental sharpness. Creating a consistent sleep routine, reducing screen exposure before bed, and using breathing techniques to relax the nervous system all enhance recovery and resilience. Another powerful tool for mental recovery is active reflection. After a high-pressure situation, taking time to analyze what happened, what went well, and what can be improved strengthens resilience for future challenges. This is why elite athletes and military teams conduct after-action reviews, breaking down key moments to extract lessons. The goal is not to dwell on mistakes but to refine mental strategies for better performance in the next high-stakes moment. Physical movement plays a crucial role in mental recovery. Exercise not only reduces stress hormones but also improves cognitive function by increasing blood flow to the brain. Even light movement, such as walking or stretching, helps reset the nervous system and clear mental fog. The most effective performers integrate movement into their daily routines to prevent stress from accumulating beyond manageable levels. Breathwork and meditation are also essential for mental reset. Controlled breathing techniques, such as box breathing or the physiological sigh, calm the nervous system and shift the brain out of stress mode. Meditation, even for just a few minutes, trains the mind to detach from pressure and regain a sense of clarity. High performers use these techniques before, during, and after high-stakes situations to maintain a clear and focused state of mind. Engaging in low-stimulation activities is another key recovery strategy. The brain needs time away from constant input to process and reset. Activities such as reading, journaling, listening to music, or spending time in nature allow the mind to decompress. In contrast, excessive screen time, social media, or high-intensity entertainment can prolong mental fatigue by keeping the brain overstimulated. The goal is to create moments of true mental rest where no immediate cognitive effort is required. Social connection also plays a vital role in recovery. Talking through challenges with trusted individuals provides perspective and emotional release. Studies show that social support helps regulate stress responses and prevents burnout. Whether through mentorship, teamwork, or personal relationships, meaningful interactions act as a buffer against prolonged mental exhaustion. Mastering high-pressure situations is not just about staying sharp in the moment, it is about sustaining long-term performance. Recovery strategies such as sleep, movement, breath control, reflection, and mental rest ensure that pressure does not become cumulative stress. The ability to reset the mind and body effectively is what allows top performers to stay focused, resilient, and mentally sharp no matter how demanding the environment. Recovery is not a sign of weakness, it is the key to long-term success under pressure. Chapter 12. The high-pressure mindset for life. Mastering the ability to think under pressure is not about avoiding stress, it is about developing the mindset to thrive in it. The people who excel in high-stakes situations are not those who experience less stress, but those who have trained themselves to use it as a tool rather than a threat. The way you respond to pressure is a direct result of how you condition your mind. A high-pressure mindset is not something you are born with, it is something you build through deliberate practice and intentional habits. One of the most important elements of a high-pressure mindset is embracing discomfort. Growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone, and those who perform best under pressure regularly expose themselves to controlled stress. By deliberately seeking challenges, whether through public speaking, physical endurance, or difficult decision-making, you train yourself to handle pressure with composure. Exposure builds familiarity, and what once felt overwhelming becomes routine. Another key component is controlling focus. When pressure rises, distractions and doubts can quickly hijack your mind. The ability to direct your attention to what truly matters in the moment is what separates those who succeed under stress from those who falter. Training your focus requires eliminating unnecessary thoughts, filtering out distractions, and committing to the next action, rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. The skill of resetting focus is what keeps the mind clear when stakes are high. A high-pressure mindset also requires emotional discipline. Pressure triggers strong emotions, and those who crumble under stress allow these emotions to dictate their actions. The best performers understand that emotions are information, not instructions. Instead of reacting impulsively, they acknowledge their emotions, regulate them, and channel them into productive energy. The ability to remain calm and composed in intense situations is a trained skill, built through repeated practice of emotional control techniques. Self-talk is another powerful tool in developing a high-pressure mindset. The words you say to yourself shape your reality. Those who handle pressure well do not engage in self-doubt or panic-driven thinking. They reinforce confidence and control. Using third-person self-talk, giving yourself clear directives, and framing challenges as opportunities all contribute to mental resilience. The best performers do not just think differently, they speak to themselves differently, reinforcing a mindset of control and capability. Training decision-making speed is essential for thriving under pressure. Hesitation is often the greatest enemy in high-stakes situations. The best way to overcome this is by practicing rapid decision-making drills. By training your mind to process information quickly and act decisively, you develop the ability to make clear choices under stress. High performers trust their preparation, commit to their decisions, and adjust if necessary rather than waiting for perfect certainty. The final piece of a high-pressure mindset is commitment to continuous improvement. Those who perform best under stress never assume they have mastered pressure. They seek ways to improve their mental strength constantly. They reflect on past high-pressure moments, extract lessons, and apply them moving forward. They see pressure not as something to be feared, but as an opportunity to grow. This mindset ensures that each challenge is a stepping stone rather than a setback. A high-pressure mindset is built through exposure, focus, emotional control, self-talk, rapid decision-making, and a commitment to improvement. It is not about eliminating stress but about learning to thrive in it. By conditioning your mind with these principles, pressure no longer becomes a force that limits you, it becomes the force that drives you. When you master this mindset, high-stakes moments no longer feel overwhelming. They feel like opportunities to prove to yourself that you are capable, prepared, and in control. Take care and be well.